So today marking 25 years since the death of Chris Hani, and of course he was one of the most recognizable leaders in the liberation struggle in the late 80s. He was gunned down by Janusz Wolosz, who's still behind bars. The SACP says he must not get parole. He worked in tandem with Clive Derby-Lewis, who died. And we're now joined by the first Deputy Secretary General of the SACP, Mapaila. Thank you for being with us. Today at that memorial service in Boksburg, both Chris Hani and Winnie Mandela were remembered together. Is that fitting?
Yes, we also did the same in Bizana, where we also paid tribute to both Mama Winnie Madikizela-Mandela as well as Comrade Chris Hani. These are comrades of our movement. They stood for the same objective. It's unfortunate that Mama Winnie has passed on, and because the other memorial is in Johannesburg tomorrow, and we felt that as a movement that something needed to be done in the Eastern Cape, and we could not find an appropriate date in which that could have taken place. Hence it was done today, but also linked up with Comrade Chris Hani.
People were saying that they're similar in the sense, obviously they enjoyed each other, but similar in the sense that they were both sort of holding up the torch. They were figureheads when a lot of the liberation leaders were in jail. Is that their commonality?
Yes, much more than that. I think after the unbanning of the movement, when Chris Hani was now able to operate freely inside South Africa, he became extremely much popular amongst the people of our country, in the urban centers, in the township, in the squatter camps, and in the villages. He was loved because he was able, the same way as Mama Madikizela-Mandela, Winnie, was able to do, to simplify the struggles of the people, to articulate them much more easier to their understanding, not to make it so sophisticated that such people want to know what was he talking about. So that's part of the reason why they were very popular. But also they were extremely empathetic people who always gave a lot of solidarity to many of our comrades and distressed communities. And people could feel that the telepathy with them, to understand that they understood their feelings. That is why, for instance, I was born in Thokoza. I have a clear understanding of Mama Winnie Madikizela-Mandela. Even Comrade Chris, every time when there was a trouble, Mama Winnie will just be the first person to think about. And she will come in the middle of the night to try and help people. And she did that in many other places. And the same as Comrade Chris, in the camps, when there were problems in Mkhonto Sizwe, difficulties because of our struggle, he will go there and stay with the soldiers, eat what they were eating, never wanted to be treated special. When they embarked on missions, he will also take the most difficult routes and walk alongside the soldiers. So he never apportioned himself the niceties, and that is why all the combatants and the people generally loved both of them.
Winnie Madikizela-Mandela said that he could not have been killed by the right wing. She was very skeptical of Janusz Wolosz, this Polish truck driver, flying in to kill Chris Hani. She said it was still a mystery to unravel. Is that still the case?
We've asked for an inquest as the SACP. We think that that's the best way in which we can get to the truth. Because without that, we'll never be able to really rest and understand what really happened. We think that an inquest will assist us, but also an inquest to many other revolutionaries who died. Sometimes the apartheid government lied about their death. For instance, we now know the Ahmed Timol family took initiatives and created possibilities for an inquest, and when it was opened, it was able to uncover the truth, and now the family can live in peace, knowing what really happened to him, and now dispelling the lies of the apartheid government.
Can an inquest help, though, if the man who pulled the trigger has stuck to his story for years behind bars?
Yes, the same as with Ahmed Timol. Those some of them were already dead, and they didn't want to tell the truth. But when we pieced together evidence, it became much clearer that it couldn't have been the other way around. So that is why, for instance, Janusz Wolosz was denied amnesty by the TRC, because the TRC itself felt that he did not tell the whole truth, the same as Clive Derby-Lewis. And Derby-Lewis after he was released on parole, which we had opposed, including his release on medical grounds, because we know he had played this question for quite some time. He made a video basically asserting what he has done. So that's the same reason why, for instance, you can't trust Janus Wallouch, who can't tell the truth now about what happened.
So no doubt you continue to oppose him getting any form of parole?
Most certainly.
Can you help us with the question we're asking tonight on our SABC poll? Would Chris Hani rather be happy with the South Africa of today?
It's not a clear single answer question, either in the positive or negative. What I can say is that in the positive, you'll appreciate the many successes that were scored by the liberation movement headed by the ANC, the attempts to take up some of these campaigns that he initiated to fight hunger, diseases, as well as to fight homelessness. You'll appreciate the fact that the democratic government managed to build more than 4 million houses and handed them over to the poor people as a very important intervention. You'll appreciate the many hundreds of clinics that were built across the country to try and improve the health of the nation. You'll also appreciate the attempts we've made to try and deal with poverty. But at the same time, you will be appalled by the arrogance of the system of capitalism, which continues to grow and actually growing much more stronger than the democratic state. And I think that's what you'll be worried about. You'll also be happy, I think, about the strength of the SACP now, that has also championed some of the campaigns that he has initiated and continues to do so in the fight against the system of capitalism, which is the one that creates inequality in society, poverty in society, and actually apportion the larger section of the economy into the hands of a few.
He did say, he spoke about the value of education to take people out of the trap of poverty. Free education was announced last year, but Bladen Zimande's role unclear came from the president. Has the SACP done enough there?
No, we've done it. We started the campaign ourselves. In fact, as you know, the main champion of this campaign were the Young Communist League. It's only that at the end of it, those who were given the medal is largely the Fees Must Fall movement. But the Young Communist League sustained this campaign, the Progressive Youth Alliance, particularly headed by SASCO in institutions of higher learning, led this particular campaign for free higher education. And that's a collective achievement of the entire movement. Comrade Blade would not have been an individual that will take the decision. If he had that opportunity to do so, we will certainly declare socialist South Africa. So it's not as simple as that, because he works under the mandate of the ANC. Until the NEC itself took that particular decision, he would not have done it any other way. But he contributed immensely himself to education in this country, including education that covers the interest of the children of the working class.
And finally, how would Chris Hani, do you think, have viewed the interesting relationship between the SACP and the ANC, especially last year when you started taking on some by-elections as a party rather than being subsumed into that tripartite alliance?
Well, this morning at the gravesite, the son of Laurent Kabila was with the son of our Tambo, Dali. And he asked, what's the difference between the ANC and the SACP? Yeah. And Dali responded first, and he said, one thing, but different.
Okay, so you will be different when you want to hold the ANC accountable. Is that what we're going to see?
Yes, the mission is the same, to transform the lives of our people, to transform gender relations in society, to defeat the system of patriarchy that oppresses women, to create an unracial society, to build an egalitarian society, a society of equals. That's the practical main mission that binds us together. But when it comes to the development of socialism, there are those in the ANC, for instance, that may not want to go with us, and that's where we'll be separate.
All right, thank you for your remembrances, tributes to Chris Hani, first Deputy Secretary General of the South African Communist Party, Solly Mapaila.